I just found out a couple of days ago that I am going to have to leave my beloved little apartment by the end of this month. And it really threw me for a loop. Now, to be fair, I was always supposed to leave at the end of the month, according to the lease. However, we had it at the beginning of the agreement said that if it worked out for both of us, that an extension would be possible. And I'd never heard that that wasn't going to be possible on her end. So in my mind, I'd already extended through August. And I already knew where I was going to be having my coffee on the porch, listening to the cardinals and under the shade of the dogwood tree. I knew that I was going to be sleeping in this really comfy bed. And I knew exactly where I was going to film these YouTube videos and where I would do my coaching calls. So when I got this note that she was going to be back on July 31st, it it felt like a gut punch because everything that I had imagined and planned for in my mind suddenly came crashing down. And so I've really had to deal with the feelings and the aftermath of this because there's so much uncertainty. And I realize that what I'm grieving is this apartment that I really love and don't really want to leave, but also this imagined future that I had created for the next month and hopefully longer. So I think that this is actually pretty common. I know I do this more frequently than I would like, and I think it's sort of normal that we tend to project into the future. We imagine the future, and and instead of just making plans, we move in emotionally before things have actually really come into place. And so this can happen with future conversations, our visions for future relationships, future career, all of the things. We tend to really imagine how it will be rather than just being in the reality of what it actually is. And let me check my notes here. Yeah. Yeah. So when reality actually goes in a different direction than what we were expecting, we it feels like something is lost, and it feels like there's a certain strange sort of grief. And even if we haven't lost something tangible, it's almost like this future version of what we were planning for suddenly evaporates. And and there's a real grief in that. And I think it's particularly relevant now at midlife because there are so many things that we had imagined for our lives that are changing. And some of them are just a continuation of the things that we thought that would always be there, like the way we look and our health. And if we have kids, the kids being in the house and growing up close to us. And we start to see all of these changes in relationships and careers in our bodies. And and there's a real reckoning that comes with that, because it's something that even though on one level we know has to shift and change, on another it's that this the grief of the loss of an imagined future. And I think that's something that's really real. And I think maybe that's why this whole housing situation hit me a little bit harder, because it really reminds me of this midlife season that I'm in, and just how much uncertainty there is, and how much loss of imagined futures that there is during this period. So I think what I'm really sitting with now is not as much, where am I going to live? Because I actually do have some ideas, and I am at my deepest level trusting that it's all going to turn out. I always seem to land somewhere, so I'm not too worried about it. But it's really more about not trying not to imagine the future too much, or not doing it, but but really allowing it to, okay, let me just, I might need to edit, but I don't want to edit. So I'm just going to say it over. Um, I think what it is it's about allowing for the feelings that come, the sadness and the grief and the resistance. Like I was feeling a lot of resistance, and just allowing that to be there. And in the feeling of the feelings, then it creates openness and spaciousness for new possibilities to come through. But it's really important to be with those feelings and not just override them. And I don't think it's about not continuing to plan and to dream and to get excited about things, because that's really beautiful. But I do think it's important to check our assumptions, which I obviously didn't do. And it's also just important to hold it lightly, because life is like that. Life can change the script on a dime. And so we want to hold those imaginings with a grain of salt, knowing that life sometimes has other plans for us, and so just to really roll with it as much as possible. So that's where I'm at. I am homeless to be, and will keep you updated on where I land. I'd love to hear how this has shown up for you. If you've had things that ways that you have imagined your life would be and it's turned out to be differently, and how you've been dealing with it. All right. See you next time.